Welcome to the PrepZone show presented by Bevill State. I'm Johnathan Bentley, joined by my co-host, Zach McCullar. Zach, we're down to one team around here now.
One team. I did not think that we would have to say goodbye to every team but one at this point. I mean, if you look at it, all of our games last week, we lost a county team.
Yep. And the funny thing is, we knew we were going to have one since Lynn was playing Addison.
Right.
So, and I thought we'd at least have two.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I picked Dora, what I know, right?
Well, I thought we would have Lynn and Meek, and then I thought that they would probably play each other in the semis.
Yeah, everybody was looking forward to that.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. And
that's why you can't look forward.
You can't do it.
They showed us why you can't.
Somebody somewhere look forward.
Yes. Because you look and we're like, oh, how big a game is that going to be? Meek against Lynn. Now they have to wait for a couple of years.
Yeah, maybe.
But let's talk about those games last week. You were at Lynn Addison, 41-14 Lynn.
It was a lot more of a blowout than that, honestly, because anytime Addison tried to do something, it was like there were 30 Lynn players there to stop them. It was ridiculous, and the fans were amazing. It was probably the loudest atmosphere I've seen at a high school football game. And for a 1A school, that is impressive. I mean, Carrollton, excellent game. Addison, they have good playmakers. They have a great coach. They just couldn't get anything done against Lynn. I mean, that's all you can say.
Yeah, and they were looking good going into this game.
They were.
I thought it'd be really, really close.
So did I.
Randolph put out Dora 47-37. It's your typical Dora loss.
They fought hard to the end, though.
You fall down 3 touchdowns, you storm back, and you just really never get over that hump.
Yeah, I mean, they did what they could. They fought back. I mean, I know Dora fans would have loved to seen them pull that one out. But, I mean, 37 points on Randolph is not bad at all.
I think that team's legit.
It is.
I always talk bad about Huntsville teams. The only Huntsville team left, if I'm not mistaken, is Randolph. So, they're really good this year.
How many Huntsville teams are there again?
A lot.
Plenty.
Yeah, more than Walker County and Winston County combined and doubled and tripled. One of the most disappointing games of the year, Pickens County 44, Meek 36.
You can't allow 22 points in about 4 minutes?
3, under 4 minutes, exactly.
You can't do it. If you do that, you're not going to win many games.
I mean, I'd rather lose by 3 touchdowns than lose like that. I mean, it was actually a 2-point game, I think. And then they scored on the last play of the game.
They threw a pick six, final play of the game. They were trying to do something. But that shows you, when you've got a running team, if you fall behind, you're not going to make it up that easily. Not with just a few minutes left. And they had 59 seconds.
59 seconds, yeah.
And when you do not throw the ball, I mean, that's almost impossible unless you can take one big chunk play at a time and have timeouts. So, Meek, really disappointing way to end the season. All of Pickens County's 44 points came in the second half.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Meek, a great season, but a disappointing finish there. And they had almost 4,000 yards rushing this year. And they didn't have much passing, but they were just rushing every play.
They probably had the top 3 runners in the area if you look at it.
If you add them together, by a lot. Yeah, I think Deaver ended up with 2,400 yards right at it.
That's enormous. And
he had a great game, 3 touchdowns. Just wasn't enough.
You think about this Meek season, it's almost like 2017 Lynn, where they go undefeated, big season, everything's going perfect. Then they just played poorly in the last game of the season. I was there for Lynn Cherokee back 5 years ago. Watched that. Lynn undefeated. They fell apart in that game, and Cherokee won. Lynn was eliminated. We see the same thing here with
second
Meek.
round. And now look at Cherokee, one of the worst teams in the state. It's hard to believe looking back. It really is hard to believe. The last game we'll talk about briefly, Fife, Winston County. Fife was, I think it was 21-0 after the first. They're just really sound. Winston County didn't play poorly. They didn't make a bunch of mistakes. I mean, that's pretty much the best they could do right there.
I appreciate Fife not running up the score because they could have put up 70 points instead of 35.
It was 28 at halftime.
Yeah.
That was a good season by Winston County. Second round. I mean,
They had the opportunity to go have actually better than third in the region. They should have won that region, honestly.
You look at the games they lost to Aliceville and
Sulligent
12-8. Aliceville, last play of the game.
Sulligent, I understand losing that. It's in the rain. Formidable opponent. They have a good home field advantage there. Aliceville, I thought they were going to lose that, and they went out to a big lead, blew it in about 6 minutes' time.
God, I hate that. That changed everything.
It did.
And it put them right in line with Fife, which is a team you don't want to play.
No, when you see Fife on the horizon, you just...
Yeah, Oakman found that out a couple years ago.
They
Same thing.
The hard
Same
way.
exact thing. You don't want to go to Fife. At least this was at home.
It was. You didn't have that long bus ride home to just sit and stew.
That's a long trip.
Oof.
We'll talk about the player of the week. You kind of mentioned him already, Kill Tittle, who's just really had a great season.
He has. Honestly.
This was a 2-18 last year. It's just unbelievable. But he had 4 touchdowns, over 300. Well, you were there. What do you think about him?
He made a lot of plays. In fact, just to show you how big of a playmaker he was in that game, last play of the half, he's looking for a man. He gets hit and the ball goes backwards, kind of. And that was a pick. It was almost a pick six. Wow. Guy catches it for Addison, runs it down. Kel Tittle runs him down, grabs him, and tackles him before he can score a touchdown.
Whoa.
He just made every kind of play for Lynn.
He is deceptively fast.
He is. I mean, when you think of quarterback in high school, they're either really fast or really slow.
And he's a big guy.
He is, so you wouldn't think he was fast looking at him. I mean, he's tall and athletic, and he's got speed to
he's
match.
Kind of muscular. He didn't have the build of a fast player, but then Pickens County, I remember him outrunning defenders twice. He had 2 long touchdown runs in that game. Yeah, but okay, let's jump into the power rankings. We're down to let's do our final. We're going to include the teams from last week that lost. So obviously we have a new number 1.
We do, yes.
We won't spoil that. But 5, I guess I have Winston County.
For 5, I've got Addison, and I would have Corner higher. I would have them ranked in this if they had not lost in the first round. Mm-hmm. But you didn't make the second round. Unfortunately, I'm not going to put you in my top 5 yet until Lynn goes down. Then Corner can come back because I'm discarding playoff for then. Right. But back on Addison, really disappointing performance. I mean, they played well, but it's a rivalry game. You thought they would have been able to do better than 41-14. So they've dropped to 5. On my list.
Yeah, I have them at 4, but Winston County 5, like we said. I mean, it was a good season.
It was.
A lot of just close losses, kind of like Cordova, except not that bad. Cordova's every loss was close, but Winston County needed to play here and there, and everything changes. But I have Addison 4, and like you said, I really thought that they went 9-3. Great season. Excellent. After 5-5, and all your losses are to county teams. Can they even enjoy that 9-3?
Not really. Not unless you're traveling elsewhere in the state. You can
but everybody else 9-0 against teams not in the county. Very strange year. It was a good year though.
It was.
9-3 is solid. Who's your 4?
Yellow Jackets, of course. I've got Winston County there. So that means we probably have the same top 3. But yes. Back to Winston County, like you said, great season. Wish it could have gone better. Mark Mitchell's definitely taking them in the right direction.
Yeah, good coach.
Excellent.
They're fortunate to have him. Keep him over there. Dora at 3.
Yes.
Yeah, Dora just, I don't know, it was a bad start.
They
ran
strong
into finish.
They ran into a hard team to play.
I think, that team was better than I thought.
10 points to Randolph ain't terrible.
No, I think we'll find out. Let's see how that team does against Cherokee County.
We will.
I'm really interested to find out.
Yeah, we'll just have to watch how this plays out. Some of these teams that knock off our county teams, if they win state championships or something like that, we'll find out more about our own teams. So
yeah, and Randolph, this is the furthest they've ever gotten, 3rd round. So here we go.
They're not one of those traditionally great Huntsville schools.
No, I mean they've only had a football team since 2010, so they've made some jumps here. This is their best season ever.
Well, I mean
you've got a good coach over there.
You've only got 12 or 13 seasons tucked away in there. So
yeah,
I'm older than that football program.
That's right, by a little bit.
Just a tad.
Okay, 2-1. Meek finally falls down from the number 1 spot. It took all year for it to happen.
Yeah, personally, I think they have the best team in the area. I think if they'd have played Lynn, they'd have won. But we look at it, Lynn beats Pickens County beats Meek, therefore Meek has to drop. I hate it because it's such a great team. Cam Deaver, probably going to be All-State this year.
Yeah, he should be. 2,400 yards, that means you averaged in 12 games 200 a game, right at it.
I'm assuming we know who our PrepZone Offensive Player of the Year is.
That's got a very strong possibility.
Oh, yes.
And what I hate for Meek is they would have Marion County. If you win that game,
it'd be
you play Marion County, and I would take Meek by a lot against Marion County.
But then again, they might be looking forward to Lynn.
Yeah, you never know. You can't do that. They've proven you can't do that.
Don't even look at the bracket. Just wait for someone to tell you. Don't.
Yep. Chavis said it didn't help them, but he said he doesn't do that. Chavis, the door coach.
He seems like the fellow that wouldn't.
I believe him. Yeah,
he's
I
prepared.
Believe he
He's got the process running through his veins from his time under Nick Saban.
Yep. Let's worry about this week.
Yeah.
And number 1 for the first time all year is Lynn.
Hey, finally, Lynn gets to number 1. They better take care of business this week if they want to keep number 1. Look, take it from everyone else in the county. Lynn, don't look ahead. whatever you do, please do not look ahead. We need to have a county team get to Auburn.
Because if they looked ahead, they would say, hey, we beat both these teams.
Yeah.
So, but you got to beat Coosa Christian first.
Who's Coosa Christian?
We never heard of it. Yeah, and they probably hadn't.
There's some 8-man football team.
Not that long ago, they were. That's right.
They won the 8-man
football team.
They made the 8-man state championship game back in 2004.
Won a state So do they count that as a state championship? The 8-man championship? I would.
It would go on the wall as in 2004.
Auburn would not.
8-man.
Auburn would not. They only got their 2. Okay, so speaking of Lynn, this is the furthest they've been since 2010. Let's talk about Coosa Christian. Had you ever heard of it? Somebody Christian had played them the last couple of years.
I think that may be the only time I'd heard of them.
And I think Somebody Christian beat them both times.
I mean, they're one of the Christian academies. You got Somebody Christian, you got Victory Christian, you got Coosa Christian, you've got there's probably a Tuscaloosa Christian out there, I'm sure. Alabama Christian, American Christian.
And they were in the same region as Somebody Christian twice, and I know they lost to them twice.
Yeah.
But they must be. This is a better team, 8-4, and to win last week against a team they lost to, Spring Garden had blanked them.
Yeah,
and they turned around and beat them at their place. So that was impressive. They could be on the hot streak.
The revenge factor.
Yes,
yeah, I'm kind of worried for Lynn heading into that play. I mean, if it was at Lynn could probably take down most anybody not called Alabama Christian.
Mm-hmm.
On the road, maybe a different animal because, I mean, you never know how your team's going to go in a pressure situation.
It's going to be cold, too. Very, very cold this week.
Very.
So hope Lynn's ready for that cold because we haven't had it yet this year.
Not really. I mean, it's been chilly at times, but
I think I had a jacket on one game. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a jacket on maybe 2.
Well, how far do you think Lynn can go? We are looking ahead.
Yeah, that's our job. I think Winston County, not Winston County. I think Lynn. If Marion County beats Pickens County this week, Lynn could go to Auburn.
Auburn is the site of the championship.
Yes. Pickens County, if they end up beating Marion County, they travel back to Lynn after losing on the last play of the game. I think Pickens County's got a really good chance to win that.
Yeah, I'd rather than play Marion. But they did get this far, Elite 8.
And
who would have predicted that?
They beat both Pickens County and Marion County, who they would play if they can beat Coosa Christian. Again,
let's get past Coosa.
Yep. They beat them both. Marion County, I think Lynn could take care of again. Pickens County, not so much.
Yeah, Pickens County, the revenge factor yet again.
Revenge tour is always dangerous.
Yeah, and they are loaded.
I
mean, it's crazy. I mean, their losses, if you look, Pickens County lost to Aliceville, which would probably beat most 1As.
Oh, yeah.
Gordo, which would beat
most people
all
in the state.
1As. And Lynn, which was the game of the year, 21-20. And
basically, yeah.
Tittle kicked the extra point to win it, and it was great. It was a great game.
Yeah, we were talking about Cal Tittle. That's one thing I forgot. He's also the kicker.
Yeah, 5 of 6 extra points last week.
What does he not do?
I know. He's rushing. He's throwing. Yeah, great season.
Kicking, tackling.
I'm hoping one of these guys, either Tittle or Deaver or both, could be up for, back of the year at
I would love that.
But, I mean, other people do too.
Get them to junior college, let them build up their resume and go to a 4-year college. I would love to see some area players in a big Power 5.
We haven't seen them in a while.
I mean, we have, one area player in the group of 5? A.J. Odom?
Yeah, that's right. And we have one at Alabama A&M.
That's true.
That played at Cox, that played at Jasper. Or maybe it was Walker back then. All right. So, Lynn, the last time they made it this far, well, I'm going back to 96. They beat Donahoe and Addison in the playoffs that year.
2010. Lynn, that was this is the farthest in 2022 that they've been since 2010. Mm-hmm. That year, beat Donahoe and Addison back-to-back weeks.
Oh, and they beat Donahoe and Addison
back-to-back weeks.
So, I like their chances.
History
does repeat itself.
We found that out.
Now, the south part of 1A is really... Yeah. Let's just go through the north.
Yes, I'm afraid that either Pickens County, Marion County, Coosa Christian, or Lynn probably going to get smothered by somebody.
Yes. 1A South is basically 4A football.
I got a lot of small high schools down there that have some pretty good football programs.
And what I like about them is they're all public schools.
They are?
Yeah, these aren't private. The only private school left, I think, is, Coosa Christian and Donahoe, I believe, was.
Donahoe, the former Gadsden Academy, I believe.
Yeah. Falcons.
I love their helmets. They're the Philadelphia Eagle helmets.
How can you confuse that? How do you have an eagle and a falcon as the same
Well, it's just
logo?
The wings. The wings.
Okay, yeah, you're right. I was thinking the hawks.
It's bird wings. So.
All right, so we're done with high school. Hopefully we get one more week to talk about it. Or maybe 2.
We should get one more week.
Yes.
But then again, this is high school football.
Meek lost, and we didn't see that coming.
No one saw that coming except some people in Pickens County.
Yeah. Pickens County thought they were going to win, and they were. I've heard people say, well, they're not. This is different playing Pickens County in the playoffs. And it's true. They always get this far.
They're not called the Tornadoes for nothing.
No. God, they're good. They remind me of the Parrish Tornadoes.
Back when Parrish was good.
2010. Very good year for Parrish. All right, let's go to college now. Alabama has a pretty easy game after a weird game last week.
It was just – I don't expect games like that where, you think it's going to be kind of high scoring going in, and then Alabama's offense doesn't play good, it seems, this year. We could probably make about 12 or 15 shows off of how terrible Alabama's offense is this year, but we're not going to. So Alabama last week, like you said, weird game. This week should be a cupcake week. Do I doubt Alabama's going to win? No, not at all. Alabama should steamroll. The problem is, and it happened last year in their November cupcake game, injuries. They lost running back Roydell Williams and wide receiver JoJo Earl in that game, both of which came to hurt them because they had to force linebackers into service as running backs, and wide receiver core when Mechie and Jamison Williams went down got pretty threadbare. So Alabama right now, they need to avoid injuries.
Yeah, it's already threadbare. Or it looks that way, right? It's not. But
they're playing threadbare.
Yes. Self-induced threadbare. But, Ole Miss, it's like Kiffin, I don't know if he listens to the...
He tries too hard, it feels
you kick a field goal. The basic stuff he's not going to do. Instead of going for it early, you kick the field goal.
If you kick a field goal in that situation, all you have to do is kick another field goal at the end of the game, and you're in overtime.
Feasibly, had anything else. It had everything else stayed the same, but yeah, he did that against. He coached himself to a loss against Auburn last year. He lost to Harsin. Okay,
Harskin or Harskin? Yeah, there we go.
Both of them. He lost to Harskin and Harsin last year on stuff the exact same thing, but they still had a chance to win. It was Alabama's had a lot of entertaining games this year.
Unfortunately.
I always tell my wife I'm not watching this. It's going to be boring. I've said that for years about Alabama. This year it's actually fun to watch because their games are close.
Depends on who you are saying fun to watch. That LSU game was not fun to watch.
They come down to the wire, a lot of these games. Texas, last play of the game?
It was, last play of the game. Well, the field goal came with 10 seconds, but they had to throw a Hail Mary that was completely about 30 yards short.
And then A&M came down to the last play of the game.
It was one bad play call away from being
It was a bad play call. It was Jimbo Fisher, which we got that on here later. But Alabama has, who do they have this week?
Austin Peay.
Where is Austin Peay?
I want to say they're in Kentucky, but I'm not sure.
Well, I looked it up. I didn't know either. I would say it's Tennessee. Clarksville, I think. Tennessee.
Is that where it is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't hear about them
I've been
much.
to Clarksville before.
Their record is good for whatever
they're
division.
They're 7-3. Yeah, they're FCS.
Is that like Samford's division?
I think it is it may be a SoCon
Or it
team.
might be even below that. Yeah.
Who knows?
But, yeah, that'll be a blowout.
It should be 66-7 or somewhere
It
along
will
that.
be, yeah.
Because Alabama's defense ain't going to keep up intensity for the whole game. The Governors are going to score something.
Governors.
That's a good name. Their logo looks like, he looks like the governor of the 1800s. He's got the Texas tie, the little bow tie that's a ribbon, and he's got the little goatee and then the big handlebar mustache.
Wow, I haven't seen that. That's one thing they got going for them.
Hey, they got a good logo.
All right, so Alabama, they should cruise through these last 2 games? Question mark.
Ooh, well, it depends on if Cadillac has got something cooked up, especially for the Iron Bowl. He could make it interesting for a few quarters.
I would take that, I think.
Oh, I'm sure.
I think Auburn fans would
Any Auburn fan just want to see it respectful.
Yeah, because it's at Alabama, and this traditionally
they don't want to see a 59-0 loss or anything.
No, we've seen those.
Which, if Harskin was still the coach at Auburn, it would probably be.
Yes, they would have lost this game. They would have lost to A&M and Jimbo,
and they would lose to Western Kentucky.
And speaking of, Auburn beats Texas A&M 13-10. Were you surprised? Did you watch any of that?
I watched the entire thing. I was surprised by how many times Auburn fumbled, considering that their head coach, their interim coach, was formerly their running back coach.
A lot of fumbles.
I would have thought he'd have worked on ball handling a little bit.
I don't know what was going on. And they fumbled sometimes. It didn't even count.
Yeah.
So,
referees.
Actually, it was 5 fumbles, only 3 counted. So, that's still bad. But
and they were, all on the same drive, it felt like.
2 were, yeah, right. There were one after the other at the end.
Plays.
Thank goodness Auburn didn't have to score at the end because they would have fumbled probably.
Oh, but I'm sure they would have.
Texas A&M scored late, make it 13-10, didn't get the onside kick, and that was it. So, good for Jimbo. Where do you rank Jimbo? Speaking of him, they're 3-7 now. Started the season ranked 6th. Where do you put him in the SEC rankings?
Well, he's above Clark Lee at Vanderbilt.
Is he? Okay.
Well, Clark Lee just don't have a lot of talent on his team. Jimbo, you must remember, I'm just taking into consideration he's won a national championship. That gets him over Clark Lee.
He has. Yes.
I'm trying to think who else.
Is he above Harskin?
Oh, he'd be above Harskin.
He would
I don't
be
think
above
he's above Cadillac Williams, though. I think Cadillac would be a better coach than Jimbo. Well,
crazy?
I'd say this year Cadillac's a better coach than Jimbo.
Right.
Considering Cadillac's only coached 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, Jimbo, I know it's catching a lot of heat there, and you can't get rid of him. Everybody makes fun of the Auburn contract with Gus.
Yeah, that.
Which was ridiculous. This is like triple that.
I saw a sign at College Game Day. It's a Texas rivalries, a lot of bad blood there. The sign said, the only way to pay off Fisher's contract, all we need to do is have 880,000 A&M fans post $100 apiece.
880. Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Well, that's a lot of fans.
That's every fan, basically. So
and then some.
Yeah, I think they're stuck with him. He's going to have to make a lot of changes and actually say he goes 3-7 next year at this point. Would he be gone then?
Oh, he'd be fired, definitely. A&M's got better expectations than that.
And they got the money.
They've got plenty of money. They're trying to save it for recruits.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to have to use it on a buyout eventually.
So, okay, Auburn is only a 5.5-point favorite this week. I know I've kind of ruined what you're going to say later, but
somebody must know something.
But very low number, and the Hilltoppers have a chance.
Ooh, they have a chance. It's slim, but I think they have a chance.
Yeah, Auburn did good against Mississippi State, another throwing team that makes me feel better. But yeah, this could be iffy.
Western Kentucky's quarterback last year got to start a couple of games for the Patriots this year, which shows you just how talented this team has been in the past. And
incredible.
They may still have enough talent to make it a close game. I don't know.
Yeah, they're a pretty good team. Beat UAB.
Yeah, for a CUSA, they're pretty
UAB is a terrible road team, though. They're 0-for on the road.
UAB's just...
They're good at home still, but they're really bad on the road.
It's hard to believe it's the same team that won the Conference USA a couple of years ago and knocked off a ranked BYU in the Independence Bowl last year.
Nowhere near.
This
is maybe they make a bowl game. They still got to win a game.
I hope they make a bowl game.
They got LSU, so they'll lose that one. Then maybe they can win that last game. It's on the road.
The Conference USA, you're going to have your hard games, and then you're going to have your FIU, FAU.
Yeah, you got to take advantage. Rice. You got to take advantage of those. They lost to Rice. All right, so all right, we're going to Zach's picks. We have a lot of games this week.
7, so it's kind of an intermediate number. I've got a couple of games in the Pac-12 because the Pac-12 is starting to look really interesting.
Yep.
Because the Pac-12 champion with a weird game today, or not today, but Saturday, something weird might happen. You know, I could see the Pac-12 champion having to be 2 loss because they wouldn't have a 1-loss team left.
Yeah, comes down to USC, right?
It does. USC's their only hope, so we'll start with that. They are on the road to the Rose Bowl. Not a home field advantage because nobody shows up for a UCLA home game. UCLA, they've dropped in the polls. They had a tough loss last week to Arizona, head scratcher. USC is a 2.5-point favorite.
Oh boy, that's a tough game.
That's such a low line. I think it might be a touchdown field goal game, but I've still got the Trojans winning.
Yeah, I do too. You just can't lose to Arizona, and it reminds me of Legion Field when the XFL was there. They blanket all the seats with banners and stuff. How does UCLA not have it? It's a huge city.
It's because
no one goes to the games. I mean,
people are probably too busy in Los Angeles.
They got so many other things to do.
Saturdays they've worked all week. They've got Saturday and Sunday to go rest. I mean, do you think they want to?
They obviously do not. No.
Yeah, when they could be watching pro on Sundays.
Go watch LeBron instead.
Why not? He's tall, at least.
Yes, he's still good to be old.
He might play college football. I heard the rumors that he'd be interested in that. So I've got USC winning. You do too, I assume. Mm-hmm. We're going to stay out west for a few minutes where a certain person that a lot of Auburn fans knows really well is quarterbacking his team, the Oregon Ducks. Bo Nix is who I'm talking about. They have a tough game. It's in Eugene, so that might be a benefit for Oregon. It's Utah. Last year, Oregon was supposed to beat Utah twice, got demolished twice. So
didn't beat them.
Was it just Utah was better last year, or does Utah have something up against Oregon? I mean, Oregon's a 3-point favorite.
Wow. Yeah, it's Bo Nix. Now he's there. But They had a shocking loss last week.
It was.
How in the world? I mean, Washington's at least pretty good, but they should have
I
never
thought
lost
it'd
that
be close,
game.
but it's a rivalry. That may be why Washington pulled that one out.
That really hurt Oregon. That put them out, basically. They're done.
So
and they had a chance.
I think they're going to be pretty demoralized.
But I'm picking Oregon since they're at home. I mean, I know? I went 10-10 picking games last week. What I know, right?
I think Oregon's going to be demoralized. You must remember Bo Nix. I mean,
he was hurt a little bit.
He was. I mean, when you're a banged up quarterback, you can't really perform well. We saw that with Bryce Young these past few weeks. I've got Utah winning. Definitely. I think Utah just matches up well. I think they've got a good team. Their running back's name is Tavion Thomas. He seems to have big games against Oregon. For whatever reason, Oregon just can't stop him.
And Utah has 2 losses also.
They do,
Florida was one of them somehow.
How?
Inexplicably.
I mean, Florida was unranked, and they jumped to number 12, and then they just completely...
They're not good. So Utah, I mean, they're okay, I guess.
Right.
Utah really needed that game now looking back.
They did. Yeah, they'd be in playoff contention with a win there.
Yeah.
So I've got the Utes. You've got the Ducks. We're going to go back into the SEC. Alabama, they have what should be a, quote, tough home game. We already mentioned Austin Peay. I'm just putting it on here because it's Alabama. Obviously got Alabama. Do you think, this is the main question, do you think Saban's going to play Bryce Young for more than a quarter and a half?
Yes. He will play into the third.
Really?
I believe it. Watch. Who would you put in, Milroe?
I would rather have Ty Simpson as our backup.
Yeah, I think so too.
He's that game manager type of quarterback that Saban can win with. You saw it with Jake Coker and A.J. McCarron and Greg McElroy. Stands in the pocket, doesn't have running the first thing on his mind, wants to throw the ball.
Milroe wants to run.
That's what he's thinking about the whole time.
Yeah.
How can I escape this pocket?
But, I mean, Bryce Young, hopefully, I'm sure he won't need to play more than a quarter.
He doesn't. I mean, honestly, I think if Milroe or Simpson were to start, I think we'd be fine anyway.
Yeah.
But you got to start Bryce just because. Give him a little bit of practice throwing with that messed up shoulder. So, is it going to be a name your number game? We know it is. What do you think the score's going to be?
At least 51-3.
66-7. I think
Saban. Give him a touchdown. Huh?
Saban is going to punish his offense by making them work hard.
Yes. He was happy at the end of last game.
He looked so happy.
He was so happy, and we never see that.
No.
Yeah, that tells you that game was.
I'm trying to think how many times he smiles after a win. National championship and the Iron Bowl last year.
That's about, and Mississippi this year.
He did, yeah.
Right, so what's next?
A game that I'm sure you'll watch. Auburn hosting Western Kentucky. Auburn 5.5-point favorites.
Seems low.
Do you have any idea why the line is that low?
I don't, like you said, they must know something we don't.
Maybe
that doesn't make any sense.
Maybe they're expecting a letdown from Cadillac after he put all he had into winning his first game in front of a home crowd. He's calling on the fans to show up again against Western Kentucky.
Yeah, I think they will.
I think there'll be a big crowd again. Honestly, because
they love him.
Oh yes,
we love him. There was a tear in my eye watching the things last week.
Oh.
It was incredible, really, for a bad team.
to be so happy,
actually have some hope.
They have hope.
They're not going to a bowl game probably, but still.
Unless somebody has to pull out like Rutgers got last year.
Yeah, we're going to need like 5 of those to happen.
Yeah. But I still think Auburn's going to win. 5.5. Do you think it'll be 1 possession, 2 possession?
I'll at least give them 10.
That's what I would say, in between a touchdown and 7.
Hopefully the offense is somewhere between what they did against Mississippi State. And they had the ball 8 times inside the 40 of Texas A&M, scored 13 points. Got to do better than that.
I mean,
quit fumbling, quit having penalties, quit getting sacked.
Fortunately for Auburn, they were playing Texas A&M.
Yes, it
was preseason number 6.
Unbelievable how bad they are. This is the worst team, except for Vanderbilt, maybe.
If Vanderbilt played A&M,
that would be. If it was at Vanderbilt, I think that'd be a heck of a game.
It would be, honestly. And when somebody's thinking about Vanderbilt being a good game, that is not a compliment.
No other game is good for Vanderbilt. And you got to think, the game they won in the SEC was Arkansas missing that field goal. The guy makes a field goal, they're over in the SEC. They're sitting here 2-8, but they didn't win that game.
Oh man! All right, so interesting game. Just mentioned Vandy. Vandy, they're coming off their first conference win since 2019 against Kentucky.
Incredible.
They have Florida coming into Nashville. Florida's just limping through, desperate to try to make some kind of a Birmingham/Gasparilla Bowl. Does Vandy have a chance to make it 2 in a row?
I don't know. They did win that game at Kentucky. Boy, how bad is Kentucky falling off?
They were ranked 24th.
They've not had a good year.
Stoops.
You can't lose that game. I'm sorry.
Stoops
At home.
is a hot and cold coach, honestly.
But I'll take Florida.
I will too. I think it'll be 10 points. So that falls under the spread. I think Vandy's gonna look better. Clark Lee could turn them into a team that makes a bowl game every now and again.
Speaking of weeping, he had tears after they won.
They were celebrating. I'll say that for him. All right, Tennessee, South Carolina. I mean, we have a pretty weak slate this week.
We really do.
Because everybody's got their cupcake team on. Tennessee, 21.5-point favorites. Do you think that's going to happen? 21.5?
Yeah. I don't. What about South Carolina? They're kind of all over the place. They're like Kentucky.
They're weird.
You never know what they're going to do.
They cracked the rankings, and then they just completely fell apart.
Yeah, I think Tennessee will. Not as bad as last week when they beat Missouri 66 to whatever.
Well, they ran up the score there. They were running Hail Marys. They were running Hail Marys up 45 points.
Then they scored in the last few seconds. Because I turned the game. Well, it switched to the Alabama game.
Yeah.
So I missed the last touch. I was like, they scored again? They should have been taking a knee. I don't know. Hope that comes back to bite them.
I hope so. I hope Missouri beats them by 50 points next year. I think that might be the reason they cover against South Carolina. They just run the score
They will.
up.
Yeah, that's the thing.
They're going to
I think it's a good bet. Yeah, if you're betting,
it's very
Tennessee,
safe to take Tennessee.
Because they're going to run up the score as much as they can.
Last game, probably not your marquee SEC game. Usually, it's Ole
This week it
Miss,
is.
Arkansas. And, I mean, I had another SEC game to pick from to put here, Kentucky, Georgia. I think Georgia's going to win that by about 40 points. I left that off because it's going to be so ugly.
Levis.
How is that the CBS game of the week?
What happened to Levis? Comes back and he's horrendous.
He must still be hurt.
Yeah, he probably shouldn't have come back.
No,
looking back, he should have never come back.
I think he rushed it. I mean, they lost a game without him, and it just went crazy.
Yeah.
Back to Ole Miss, Arkansas. Rebels coming off a tough, disappointing loss at home against Alabama.
That was brutal.
Just 2.5-point favorites on the road in Fayetteville, who had a tough loss to LSU. If KJ Jefferson would have started that game, if someone hadn't have bruised his shoulder, I think LSU would have went down.
Yeah. They should have. I mean, it was that close anyway.
It was terrible. They were basically trading turnovers the whole game. Here, you want the ball? No, I don't want the ball. You have the ball. Back and forth. It was an ugly game. I watched it. Ole Miss, I think, is in good position to win a big game here. I think it's going to be pretty ugly.
Is Jefferson still out?
I want to say he's going to play, but I mean, they pulled him at the last minute. Last week,
So
they
he
could
should
do
be
it again.
able. Yeah.
He should. Should is the key word.
But I'll take Ole Miss too, but
would too.
it could be very, very close.
It could get close, but I do think Ole Miss is going to have a big game, and that's the last of my picks.
Oh, that's it? Wow. Okay. So, I mean, we got one season of college football left after this. I mean, one season.
1 week.
1 week of, that's
Regular season. We have conference
go.
championships, and then we have about a bunch of bowl games. About
40 something?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why Auburn still has a chance at 5-7.
They have to beat Alabama.
They need every
bowl
team that has like a chance to make a bowl to lose. Then they can sneak in at 5-7. That would be.
Yeah, that would be.
I don't know if that's worth it.
Well,
Just having a new coach at that point, maybe that would help.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You
I mean,
also
it's there's hope anyway.
To make a bowl game at 5-7, you also have to have a good academic score.
Well, they're done.
Okay.
That's why Rutgers made it.
Yeah, because there's some smart people in New Jersey.
Yeah,
I'll say that.
It's a good school.
It is.
Exactly.
Vanderbilt, if they went 5-7, they'd be in good shape.
Yeah.
So would UAB.
Duke would be in it, definitely. Stanford, which they can't even get to 5-7.
They ain't gonna. They might.
They're up to 3-7 right now.
They would be lucky in a season to.
Boy, they've had
get to
bad.
Yeah, if they don't lose 10 losses, they're happy.
They've had a bad season.
Yeah.
All right, so that wraps up the PrepZone show presented by Bevill State. Thank you for the support, Bevill State, this year. Go Bears, and their basketball season is started.
It's starting.
Yeah. And for Johnathan Bentley, Zach McCullar, and behind the scenes, Jake Aaron, we'll see you next week.